Good evening. Good evening, guys. Here we are back again. Another live stream. Was planning on getting this stuff with just a tragedy with this former WWE wrestler by the name of Daniel Rodimer has been charged with the murder of a man named Christopher Tapp. Which, Christopher Tapp was a guy who had been in jail 20 plus years wrongful. He was wrongfully charged and wrongfully he was convicted and was in jail for that. With this, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of time, see how we are with numbers on the live stream tonight, and I'll get into a little bit with this stuff here. So just one moment, just getting the link out on social media. Okay. Okay. So with this stuff, then with the former WWE wrestler and there's a Trump-backed congressional candidate, Daniel Rodimer, surrendered to the police in Nevada on Wednesday after a warrant was issued for his arrest in the death of a man who died last year from a head injury at the Las Vegas Strip hotel, his lawyers said. And with this, I came across it was on Cafe de Rene, those guys, and they had a former WWE wrestler charged with murder. And when I saw that, I was just thinking that they're just going to get into this stuff with Billy Jack Haynes. It's been out, it's been out for a few weeks now that he looks like he's been, charged for murdering his wife. So I just thought that they were maybe getting into the Billy Jack Haynes stuff. But when I found out that no, this is another former wrestler, another murder charge, I just thought, good grief, another one. It's just horrific. And with Daniel Rodimer wasn't somebody I was familiar with because he was a guy that was in developmental for a very short period of time. Appeared to be, he did appear to be a hot prospect, but it didn't work out. They let him go, and then it seems that he was trying to get into politics, and he was associated with Trump. He was photographed with Donald Trump, but it's just really is just this tragedy, just horrible. And it reads, so this is the APUs. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said earlier in the day that a warrant had been issued for the arrest of 45-year-old Daniel Rodimer on a charge of open murder in the death of Christopher Tapp. Tapp, who was 47, was treated on October 29th by medical personnel responding to a call for help after he was found at the hotel and taken to a hospital where he later died. Rodimer's Las Vegas lawyers, David Chesnoff and Richard Schonfeld, said in a statement emailed to the AP that Rodimer was voluntarily surrendering to authorities and will post a court-ordered bail. He intends on vigorously contesting the allegations and asks that the presumption of innocence guaranteed all Americans be respected. Police said detectives opened a suspicious death investigation after they received new information on November the 22nd about the injuries that Tapp had suffered. So I guess that appeared initially that they thought that maybe this was it happened October 27th. So they're thinking that maybe it was made out to be as if he had just accidentally fell and that happened. So it wasn't until this is when they said about the suspicious death investigation, but this is almost about a month later, the police. And it says, through the course of a suspicious death investigation, detectives have learned Tapp was in an altercation inside the room at the resort before being located and transported to the hospital, police said. The Clark County Coroner's Office subsequently ruled it a homicide as a result of blunt force trauma to the head. Rodimer was a Republican. He challenged Democratic Rep Susie Lee for her seat in Nevada's District 2020. He lost by around 13,000 votes. He later moved to Texas, and some people are saying that he was, because he's a guy from New Jersey, and some people are saying that he was like trying to make out like he's a Texan, like putting on a bit of a text, the Texas accent. But he ran a special congressional election in 2021 to fill the seat of Republican Ron Wright, who was the first member of Congress to die. Gosh, after contracting, the COVID, sorry. He finished in the middle of the pack, getting less than 3% of the vote, and yeah, just God, another person in relation to with the wrestling business is not good. This whole thing, when I'm reading about it initially, when I hear about he murders someone, and I'm looking into him, a bit of his background, and it's like, I think he had, married man with a wife, beautiful wife. I think like 5 or 6 kids, and you think, why would this guy? And then he's in politics. Why would you do this? It's crazy. But from what people are saying, the stories are that there was an alter. What happened? The reason that he did this, that the guy Tap, who there was a connection there. What happened was that he had offered one of his daughters, I believe it was his stepdaughter, cocaine, and that, I guess, is what caused them to go off in the deep end. And I don't know, in this case, was what one of the daughters, was she underage? Regardless, you wouldn't be particularly happy if it's somebody that you've kind of like maybe like an acquaintance with, and you felt like you've got along with them, you trust, and all of a sudden you hear that they've offered cocaine, or your daughter, your stepdaughter. You would be a little bit angry. Any man would be pissed off and be agitated, but would that even warrant you going to physically assault another the guy who did that? I mean, but then he took it way too far, and like he killed the guy, and it's just madness. And even before hearing about the whole thing about why he did it, um, the whole thing about the guy Tap offering cocaine to one of the stepdaughter. In my mind, I don't know what. In my mind, I had it like, is this like a roid rage thing? Is this the reason? Because this is a guy. He was in very good. Like he was jacked. He was, or some might say, right, Daniel Rodimer. He was, and they were high on him in WWE. I mean, I remember hearing that name, Daniel Rodimer. He was a guy, I believe, back in 2006. He was main eventing house shows facing Cena. And if you're main eventing a house shows facing the top guy in the company, they must have had, and look, he had the look, and it might have just been a thing. He didn't have like the character, the personality. I mean, he had the body, maybe not the prettiest face, but he had the look nonetheless. But in the end, it didn't work out, and then they released him in 2007. But again, I've never really heard enough of this guy's name to really. I thought much of the guy before, but it's terrible. But then the guy, I mean, it's weird because you hear about this guy that's like, Christopher Tapp, and this is the guy that was in jail for 20 plus years, wrongfully convicted of a murder. And you think, gosh, man, I mean, God, how horrible to have done that, to go through and be wrongfully convicted. It's just, and then and it doesn't get revealed until 20, 25 years later. I think there was a case here somewhere in the UK, but it's gee, and I mean, there's a Daily Mail article here, and this was from last. It was initially published the 22nd of February, and it's Who Killed Christopher Tapp, and it's an Idaho man spent 20 years in prison for RAPE murder of Angie Dodge before being killed himself in mysterious Vegas attack. And and he was just 21 and he was sentenced to life in prison. He was 21 and he was convicted in 1996. And it was a friend of his, Angie Dodge. He was exonerated in 2017 after the Idaho Innocence Protection intervened. And then the real killer did confess. He was sentenced to a minimum of 20 years and up to life in prison. Um, but reading here, and after an exclusive September 2023 interview with Line Tap, accident. But this is what they're reporting in February time, that they said he had an accident. So they thought it was down like it would be an accident. But then the messed up thing about it, though, the text messages with Daniel Rodimer and his wife. And his wife is saying, I just witnessed you try to murder someone. Um, do you have any idea how disturbing that was? Like saying, like, in your mind of yours, you're a psychopath. And yeah, and I mean that is just horrible, totally horrible. But then the thing is, if that's happened and she was aware that what he did and the assault, then is she not in trouble? Would she not get in trouble, the wife as well, because of covering it up? Because it looks like it must have been a cover up, right? I mean, how else? I mean, they're saying it was ruled initially at that time in February. They're going back to it was accidental, right? He had an accident in his hotel room, but then the wife, she's going to be in deep shit too. For initially, if it's going to be like they did it to appear that what had happened was an accident, and then she had said in the text that he just ran away. Hi, Ankin. Yeah, I know, Ankin, I know. And this is like, I don't usually get into true crime stuff, Ankin, although a few people on my channel like are into true crime, but it's like slightly wrestling related one. But yeah, it's like it's but I mean, how badly, I mean, in cases like that, when someone's complicit in covering it up, I mean, how much what kind of like I mean, is that person, if they're implicit in covering it up? I mean, they would be doing jail time for what, a few years, right? They'd be sentenced as well. I'm imagining, right? Yeah, because I'm just looking at it here. So chilling, chilling text messages Daniel Rodimer's wife sent ex WWE star after watching him murder victim in deadly attack. Court documents also revealed what a witness from that night told the police. Just one moment. So just looking at here. So the text messages between a former WWE star who's been arrested on suspicion of murder and his wife have been revealed. Daniel Rodimer, 45, was named as a suspect in Christopher Tapp's murder that took place on October 29th, 2023. There's a photo there of him and his wife, Sarah. And then Rodimer turned himself in yesterday evening. Christopher Tapp. Tapp died from brain bleeding and blunt force trauma in Las Vegas, Nevada. The victim had spent 20 years in prison as he'd been wrongfully convicted of RAPE and murder following the 1996 death of 8-year-old Angie. He had been released in 2017. Yes, I've gone through this. Rodimer, former pro wrestler, ran for Congress twice, was named as the main suspect on Wednesday, and later turned himself in the next day after his arrest warrant had been issued. Tapp and Rodimer, so this kind of, yeah, so there's something about a Resorts World hotel. There's some type of thing about car, some type of connection they have, like the car circuit or whatever, the motor racing circuit. He was originally thought to have died by an accidental overdose and fell as cocaine was found in his system. And then they're saying the whole thing about, yeah, but we'll get to that. Coroner later ruled it homicide. Rodimer was accused of attacking Tapas after he supposedly offered or cocaine at a hotel room Halloween party. Investigators shared text between Rodimer and his wife Sarah, according to court, an arrest warrant obtained by CBA affiliate KLAS. I watched you nearly murder somebody. This is the text here from Sarah, the wife. I watched you nearly murder someone. I had to take your, I believe it was effing hands off from his neck as he laid there, and you ran away, and you ran away. And I spent the next 2 hours trying to take care of him. Nobody should have to watch their husband murder somebody. Whoa. I watched you murder somebody like path. Jay. Yeah, she must have, I mean, horrified is just understatement. Rodimer and Chap, so they reportedly you won each other through the classic car and racing circuit, a family attorney said. Police, however, haven't revealed the relationship between Chap and the ex-WWE star. But Rodimer's lawyer says that he will vigorously contest the allegations. One person said they heard Rodimer say, "If you ever talk to my daughter like that again, I'll effing kill you." That would have been enough. That would have been really enough for me. That's if I'm in that situation, that's what I would say. Or even one thing, if you were to grab him by the shirt, or maybe one punch, but don't just totally overdo it. You know what I mean? There has to be something more there than just that of just him doing that because of what he said. The whole thing supposedly of him offering stepdaughter cocaine. You know, there has to be some more deep seated problems there with the guy. But yeah, just not good. Also, they would get a certain amount of time in certain situations for an accessory. And from the text, Akin, it looks like that. Yeah, they knew that that was it. He was dead. You'd killed him. His wife, you. I mean, that's just goodness me, you know. And I don't know, Rodimer. Again, it's not somebody I didn't really know that name, Daniel Rodimer. Daniel Rodimer was on. He was on Tough Enough. That's the show, you know, with those young rookies. It could be people that have been on the independent circuit, or it could be people who, you know, maybe, you know, are haven't any training at all, but you know, prospects, you know, NFL or whatever stuff like that. And he was on that show, and there was a thing, and there's like 10 of these guys, and they're doing this rig segment with the Big Show, and it's kind of like a half work part of the show, but it's also a bit of a shoot as well, right? And Big Show, their Big Show is basically doing this where one by one he's going to chop them all. I believe it. Yeah, he was going to like a chop to the chest, and I think he did that to all of them. But then after that, he was going to body slam them all, and then something happened where I don't know, because they're all cutting promos and trash talking before that. And Rodimer was maybe said something where maybe he did go too far. What it was more like he was buddying the Big Show character. And then Big Show didn't just body slam him; he body slammed him. Then he dropped a knee. This is like a 7 foot, 500-pound guy, and boof, a knee right to his chest. Like he fucked him up. And so I don't know, with Rodimer was always something maybe there with Rodimer, with how he carried himself, his overall, his attitude. Was that maybe a large part of it, how he didn't make it, you know? Because sometimes, you know, people can, you know, get in their own way, you know, and professional wrestling. You know, it's the politics. It's like a jungle trying to navigate all that. And that's maybe where he messed up. Like, they had all the high hopes for him, but he maybe just didn't know how to play that political game in WWE, which is maybe ironic because then he entered the political arena, the actual political arena, and then some kind of connection there with Trump as well. So that doesn't make it look good for Trump, right? Because it's Trump v. Biden, right? As you know, could Trump get in the White House? But just madness, though. You know, I mean, again, I read this, right, and I'm thinking, now I watched, I said Cafe de Rene, and I'm thinking, okay, they're just going to talk about Billy Jack Haynes. And when it's a former wrestler, it's another one, and it's Daniel Rodimer. I'm thinking, what? Another guy, another one charged for murder. It's just like crazy. It's like, I just hope we're not gonna like this could be a regular like another occurrence where it's like Crispin Law territory again. And I don't know. I don't wanna jump on the steroids bandwagon, but it could be that, it could be a large part to do with that, like a roid rage type thing. Not that I'm an expert. I've never done steroids. I never will. But um, wrestlers are very quick when the Bin Law tragedy happened. They were very quick to defend their profession and make out basically, no, there's no way it would be steroids. But that probably would have played a part in it. Um, so I don't know. Um, would he try and claim that? Would that be his defense that he lost it, or maybe it was? Will we try and say it's a mental health? Was a mental health problem? I don't know, but it's just yeah, it's a tragedy though. It really is. Um, but what do you guys think? Leave a comment though. What's your thoughts on this stuff with from Rodimer and reading this? And I mean, it doesn't look good. Like I from reading it, I don't think he'd be declared not guilty. It looks like he could very well be doing some, you know, serious jail time, wherever, after, the guy offered his stepdaughter cocaine, but it's still, you don't kill somebody. You don't murder another human being over that. Do, do, do. But yes, Daniel Rodimer. I mean, again, I've heard people kind of like, I mean, a lot of the anti-Trump people have been mocking him, because they all be saying, well, this is who Trump's endorsed. This is one of Trump's guys, and but that could have happened to somebody that was a Democrat too. You know what I mean? I don't think you could always put it down to politics and people that you're around, because I think Matt Morgan was in politics, right? And he was like photographed with one of those guys that was like, wasn't it like he was like texting minors or something, some guy Matt Gates or something like that. But then, people, it wasn't a good look on Matt Morgan because maybe he was photographed at one event with him one time. But I mean, again, I don't know. Trump, there'll be so many people that Trump deals with, and maybe Trump met the guy once, seemed to think he was a nice guy, had something about him, took a photo, but I don't think you'd be fair to put this all like something on Trump just because he was kind of loosely associated with the guy. Um, but I'm reading here something. They're saying something here about Lieutenant Jason Johansson of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department who's one of the best cops in the country, connected the dots to Daniel Rodimer, a father of six, arrested 3 times. He was arrested 3 times. This is in Florida, who killed Christopher Tapp. So I don't know if this is any recent things or this is just, maybe back from like the close to WWE days or something, or and then speaking of that, you've got the whole thing, you've the whole thing with Billy Jack Haynes, and that's not one, that I've not really gone down that road of like the rabbit hole and the conspiracy theory with the Billy Jack Haynes one. Some people say that like because maybe Billy Jack Haynes and some of the out there theories that he had a lot of well, when the stuff with McMahon happened with all those allegations with Joe Grant, that to some people would think that him murdering his wife to do that just after the stuff with Vince coming out because so many people who hated McMahon's guts would have wanted to figuratively and probably literally to piss in his grave. So I think a lot of people are thinking that it's a little bit odd that he would decide to murder his wife. But then they were saying that like she had dementia, so maybe it was like the justification was that he was doing her like to like put her out of her misery. But it's still you can't do that to another human being and take another human life like that. Um, but he had some deep issues though. But I mean I thought maybe there was one or two things. Maybe there was some truth in. I mean the stuff about McMahon and how he was and how he operates. I was with him on that to a bit. But Billy Jack Haynes, when he starts getting into the whole thing about, oh, he killed Nancy because he found out that Vince was the father of Daniel was Vince's son, I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't really know about that. But there are conspiracy theories online about that, though. I've seen some stuff, though. And I mean, one thing with it, the David kid is almost like a spitting image of Crispin Law. But Daniel looks a little bit different. Not exactly like Chris, but there's similarities there. But I don't know. That's another horrific story there too. But just for a moment. Anybody though, but with Daniel Rodimer, I mean, does anybody know anything about him? Any like info about that? You might know him personally, but just like this whole thing when he was in politics about like how did he come off in that world? Just asking somebody from Scotland who I'm not. I mean, I do follow a little bit of the American politics, but it's just more that thing, I suppose, when you're from your own country, you're just more you're inclined to follow your own politics, your national stuff, and your own in your own country. So there is other things here with there is other things looking here with Daniel Rodimer. Um, it says here there was assault accusation. So Rodimer has been accused 3 times of assault but has no convictions. After an arrest on charges of battery in 2010, Rodimer entered a defer prosecution agreement. In that agreement, he committed to committing the offence, and upon completion of a 6-week anger management training course, the charge was dropped. He was also accused of assault in 2011 and 2013, according to reports from the Collier County Sheriff's officers. However, in both cases, no charges were filed. But there is some stuff there. So you'd been anger management for 6 weeks, and like sometimes I used to think I was angry, but I don't think I could. Being in those anger management classes where you could just like happen to look somebody at the wrong way or what they deem to be the wrong way, and they could throw a chair at you or something. I don't know about that. Like, but he must. There's some real issues there. I mean, he was doing anger management, and again, I don't know. Could that be roid rage? Is that a lot down to steroids? Um, but he moved to Texas, and that's when he announced his candidacy for Texas 6 congressional district special election. And then they said he dramatically changed his accent, so he was trying too hard. He was trying hard to fit in with the Texans, and but I do remember that name though. Like they did have high hopes for him. Played semi-pro football, Tampa Bay was it the Barracudas? Um, then he got into the Tough Enough, and then he was in the developmental territory. He made it on Sunday Night Heat. But I think they did have big plans for him at one point, though. But let's see any of our wrestling news right now. Let's take a look. Some people just so multiple WWE stars react to racist comments made online about Bianca Belair. Yeah, it's always just trolls and idiots. They just want to get their name out there and just get some a bit of attention, albeit if it's negative attention. It's sad, but that's what these people are going to do. And and then you give it to them. So that's why you're better just ignoring them, just block them. You know what I mean? That reaction. They're never going to change. They're always going to be ignorant arseholes. Cena saying he was almost going to be a heel. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, even if he was a heel, even if it was just for the feud with The Rock, it was just for a few months, like similar to like Shawn Michaels with Hulk Hogan, it would have been good to see because I think a lot of people, even with Shawn Michaels, and it was only about like a month and a half with Hogan when he turned heel, it was still some good moments from that, some entertaining moments when he was impersonating Hogan, when it was in Montreal, the whole thing with Brett. There was some good stuff there with that. But DDP on who should induct Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame. So who does he think? Well, I don't think it's going to be Brock Lesnar, right? The Beast. He said Tommy Dreamer. To me, there's no other choice because of the history that they had, but there are other people. Yeah, you could do a group of these CW guys when you think about it. I always think of Tommy and Paul and Raven and Sandman and Sheik and RVD and all those guys. Stone Cold Steve Austin started creating Stone Cold, not knowing it yet. ECW, and that's partially because of Paul Heyman. Yeah, I think even he started drinking beer in WCW, didn't he? I remember him and Paul Heyman saying that in the shoot. And Doink Clown was running around with green hair and the red nose. Steve Austin was drinking his first beer in ECW, damn you. Yeah, legendary, classic shoot promo, huh? But, yeah. Okay, so not my usual crowd, but, okay, any questions, guys? Because I think of it might just go off in a minute, but if you got any questions, anything to do with this stuff with Rodimer, anything with wrestling, leave a comment now. Okay, I think that's it for now, but I just thought we'd check in, get going with this Rodimer stuff. Thank you, Akin. Always feel free to come around again. But I'm going to be a little bit more, just going to be more, try and be a regular uploading content and maybe do the odd live streams here and there too. But that's me for now, guys. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.